some more disappointing things I found in my record the other day that somebody, it was either July 29th or June 29th, I think it was July 29th, which is a Sunday. Um, I haven't been in to see my provider for 2 or 3 weeks. Um, but they made some entries there like I was suicidal or something. Um, I went to the clinic, which is not open on the weekends, by the way. I don't even think they're open on Sunday, the urgent care. Primary care, everything's closed. The only people that are there on the weekends is, skeleton staff, less than 10 people for urgent care. And there's a few people that are up in the lab and respiratory care. A couple of people on the weekends. That's what I was told. Because they do have stuff. Sorry, I am trying to put alcohol on my arm here. But anyway, so there's minimal people there on the weekends. And like I said, the case notes, the visit summaries or whatever, try to make it look like I was suicidal, or some other reason I was there, and she supposedly did a bunch of assessments. Last time I was there, she did do the depression assessment. They do it once a year, every year. I think it's mandated in the state to do it, because if you go to civilian providers, they'll do it too. But she's claiming she did a bunch of other assessments, which is not true. I have more training in these assessments than she does, even though my curriculum for my master's in psychology is more rehabilitation and, offender focused on, recognizing things and et cetera, and more of the forensic side. I'm very limited what I can do. I can research, I can teach, but with my medical issues, you can't be teaching class and panting all the time. If I talk too long, I pant. And the past week, my throat is more closed. I don't know why. Maybe allergy season or something. Maybe pollen's ramping up. I don't really know. Or could be because we don't have a filter to our air purifiers, and they're not even that good to begin with. Somebody is, I made a video about the Muka air filter. Somebody is out there manipulating the marketing stuff on the web. My initial research into them, they are not. They call themselves, what was it, HS or HP or something like that, 12. What they're trying to do is they're trying to deflect that they're not MERV rated. Instead saying, air purifiers have a different rating. No, they don't. Everybody uses MERV. The National Allergy Association, the National peer group that assess allergy-related equipment and allergy-related conditions, they follow the MERV rating. So you could try to, create your own. You can try to create your own model of car saying, there's a kind of car that's rusty and has a lot of deficiencies. It's called a beater car. But the fact of the matter is the rest of the car companies are going to say, that's a broken down, not very good car. There's no new model called a beater car. I mean, that's a poor analogy, but I think people would get my point. You can't reinvent the wheel and then call it a plane. So, that being said, we don't have a filter, and don't ask me what. Could be this simulator bull crap, and we are being simulated in Autumn Ridge. They are. I know they're in here. I know they are. And when they get, spooked. Like somebody's looking around or something. The state of Michigan has sent investigators here before. I know how to recognize them. They'll move it like off site. There's any number of houses that they could take this thing. It's not that big. Maybe knowing the people we're dealing with, it's probably a laptop that they, jacked up with all kinds of extra cards and stuff, and extra large hard drive, maxed out the RAM. And that's how people take it around. I caught an African-American girl once. She was simulating somebody on the laptop. So I think what it is a small black laptop that they just souped up the best they could. I saw this girl. She used to live at Country Way. And she may also be pretending to be a doctor, and her friends help her to do it. Anyway, I saw her on the phone with somebody, and when my daughter and I were walking by, something spooked her because she was running out of her house in her pajamas, talking to somebody on the laptop, and then she jumped in her car and she drove away. It was a blue Ford Probe, I think. But yeah, it was pretty obvious. She had probably a hotspot with her, or her phone was being used as a hotspot, or she may have even had a USB plug-in to to look like she's coming from an IP from somebody else. Because if she would move, then her connection to the tower would move too. So harder to track people when they're moving. Because it'll triangulate between 2 or 3 towers. It doesn't tell you exactly where they are very quickly, and if they're moving, you can't pinpoint. But something spooked her, and then she disappeared. I mean, she could be moving around here looking differently. That's what we found. Some people that are supposedly evicted, they're just moved around. Hair color changes. We'll see them driving in a different car or on the bus. They'll think it's funny. That's basically what my daughter I have been enduring for 10 years, is living around a lot of different predators. And, nobody cares. Which brings me back to the point of this video. I found in my record, they're trying to make it look like my daughter and I went to the hospital, which if people would check pay records and check logins and all of this stuff, we have never went to the hospital on a weekend. Last time I went to urgent care on a weekend, on a Saturday, was to have one of my common cyst or abscesses opened, which they tell me, oh yeah, probably because you're diabetic. I got them before I was diabetic. That's another example of how Saginaw VA will probably kill me, and they'll get away with it. Even if I have stuff in my will, which I do, and I have a video will, and I have videos on YouTube if anything happens to me or my daughter or both, or any of my other daughters overseas. But that being said, anyway, they'll get away with it because of immunity and fake names. And, again, as I always say, I am of sane mind. I do not have any mental illnesses other than frustration and anger over what's happened to my family, and it's been ignored. It makes me nauseated to think that people would let things happen to us and just stand by. A couple of people in our lives we know we're not that close, not like we used to be, and they're placed in a position where people have control of them, which is what people do in these groups, Legion, some cults, human traffickers. That's how they hide people, is in a different identity. Even forced sex workers. They give them a fake name. They say, your name's Jenny. Shut your mouth about anything else. Like that. Or we're going to give you my identity so this and this and this, it'll protect you. But actually it doesn't. What it does is give them something to manipulate you by. which why I've been told, oh yeah, if you were in this church, everything will be fine. Or, oh yeah, if you took the name of your father, which I haven't, I didn't talk to him because my mom said he's bad news. I regret listening to her. I really do. Because I'm not like my family. I believe in mending bridges, restoring balance. Like the Dene call it hozo, restoring balance in your life and those people around you that you can help them restore balance. But I'm not going to take the name of a family I don't know. They don't even know that I exist anymore, probably. My grandmother's gone. I met her one time. My father's gone. My biological father is gone. And I had an aunt, but the last time I saw her, I was a teenager. That family's gone, probably. They've moved to, another state. I don't know the connections there, but this family name, I don't know if it's my family, but this family name has deep, deep connections up in bush country. Way up in bush country when, so many people have lived there for so many generations, and there's, so many tribes up in that area that everybody's interconnected. That's all I know. And that being said, anyway, back to the point of this, they're putting in there, that they couldn't finish their assessments. I forget the name of all the assessments. Some of them are internally named, but if I got an idea of what they're about, I would know what, non-VA psychologists call them. But these are depression assessments, suicidal behavior assessments, suicidal ideation assessments, and it never happened. Just like I was told that they corrected my VA file when my former provider, it'll be former soon, my former provider put generalized anxiety disorder and referred me to mental health. When she suggested, hey, you'd like somebody to talk to? I said, yeah, maybe some new tools to deal with the VA, somebody who's dealt with them a long time. I said, oh, okay. And I don't like being manipulated and being put in a corner. And then she put in my file and all of my consults that I have generalized anxiety disorder. I talked to the patient advocate, and she said that she didn't see it there, so it must have been corrected, but they can't pull back consults. Yeah, so the damage is done. And now I have something else in my file? A visit because, what, a nervous breakdown or something? But they can't finish it because there's a child there? They're ruining, when the Raider looks at that, they're ruining my life. When the TDIU Raider looks at that, they ruin my life. The Saginaw VA did. This time, saying I have some kind of mental health, issue or some kind of personality disorder. Saying stuff about my blood test, which I read my blood test. It is not true. Trying to say some of my values for my blood are off. When I looked at them, it's not true. Not what she said. It looks like I have anemia of chronic disease when you look at things, but it's not dangerous at all. One of them, hematocrit, is only off by 1 digit. 1 digit from being in normal range. And when most of these tests have anywhere from a 5 to 7 point margin of error, that's insignificant. That's the way I would look at it. Insignificant when it's down to 1 point. Now, when it's 5 or 10, yeah, maybe there's something going on. But it's obvious when you look at the two of my blood tests. 2 are off. But again, it's within that margin of error. So it could be something, may not be. But 1 point for hematocrit, that's nothing. That could be a tester error. And then trying to put in there generalized anxiety disorder. I mean, and then this visit to the clinic, that never happened. They're trying to set me up. And when the TDIU rater sees that stuff, there's several options. They're going to deny me, saying I have that my asthma is panic attacks, when an examiner showed that that's not true. Number two, that my problem is schizophrenia or something like that, or severe anxiety. But again, the claims examiner proved that's not true, because they did 8 PFTs in one day. Very exhausting. Had an asthma attack, of course, like I always do. And then can't forget my provider, last time I saw her, gave a letter that if I'm given another PFT, it has to be in a hospital. I asked her if she would give a letter that would discourage them, because that's what they're supposed to do under Directive 1131 or something like that. I forgot the number. But the directive that the VA health provider, especially primary care, is supposed to advocate for their patient and protect them from medical problems. Now, VBA is mandated under a dozen directives that if a test puts a veteran in danger of hospitalization or death, it's not supposed to be done. I guess it's different in my case. Yeah. And then this testing, and the lady that typed up the testing, if I remember her correctly, it's the same person that we saw yesterday when we went to the store, drove around the parking lot just to kick up dust, and then drove away. And she actually drove around us to kick up the dust, and then she left the parking lot and drove off toward the direction of the expressway to Bridgeport. So, I mean, I'm a different person now. I give her the finger. And I gave her the, chin flip. She's trying to make me have an asthma attack. And she looked right at me when she did it. I saw her. I'm not going to wave at her. I don't like that, how that team treated me, trying to pretend that they're concerned about my health, but they're not. They do more malicious things, than they do helpful things. The helpful things they do is because they're trackable. And the health things they do, also, were already put in place by other providers. They can't just cancel them. But, yeah. So this, so we're going to continually, and normal TDIU process, we're already at like 65 days, and I haven't heard a word. Either Autumn Ridge is simulating that they're the VA, like I've thought before, at least, or simulating people to think that they're calling the VA call center, but they're not. They're getting hacked through Wi-Fi or through the towers. They, like I said, the police won't do anything about these people doing this. And some people use Autumn Ridge and Vista Villa's camera network to hack people, because it's throughout the whole facility. Same way that they hacked into their wired, it's not wireless network though, this is a wired one for the gates. The gates would control who comes and goes, and the company that owns this, they don't care, or they're involved in it. Because they're very passive when it comes to the gate repairs that are needed. Because the gate system monitors who comes and goes by car. Takes a picture of you while you put in your code. They don't want that running. Like I've said before, some of these places we live in, these are RICO statute investigations, but nobody's picking them up. Nobody ever listens to me. So, my TDIU claim, which was supposed to help reunite my family, help bring my middle daughter here. I mean, if she really wants to come here, I would also give money if her mom tries to stop it. Um, Her mom takes her phone a lot. I can tell the difference. Her mom takes her phone a lot. But, yeah, it may become fatal, or there may be a confrontation because I'm fighting for my family here. And people are keeping us imprisoned here.